Wait, don't spend that Thomas Jefferson 5-cent nickel yet. Some Monticello nickel coins have rare mint errors and special varieties that collectors are searching for. That ordinary-looking 5-cent coin in your pocket could be worth much more than 5 cents. Check your nickels carefully. You might have a hidden valuable find. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more rare coin secrets. In 1964, millions of Americans carried small silver-colored coins in their pockets without thinking twice about them. Among those coins was the Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent piece that had already been circulating for more than 2 decades. The version produced that year would eventually become one of the most fascinating coins for collectors, not because of its original design, but because of the rare minting errors that escaped into circulation. Certain authenticated 1964 Jefferson nickel error coins have stunned the numismatic market, with confirmed values ranging from $72,560 to as much as $158,960 depending on the error type, rarity, and condition. The coin is officially known as the Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel. The obverse features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, and the author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse depicts Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home, which gives the coin its familiar nickname among collectors, the Monticello nickel. The design was created by Felix Schlag and remained largely unchanged for decades. By 1964, the United States was experiencing a massive coin shortage. Vending machines, public transportation systems, and everyday commerce required huge quantities of coins. To meet demand, the United States Mint dramatically increased production. That year alone, more than 2 billion Jefferson nickels were struck, making 1964 one of the highest mintage years in the series. Whenever production reaches such extreme levels, the risk of minting mistakes increases. Presses operate at incredible speed, dies wear down quickly, and the flow of planchets moving through the machinery becomes almost constant. Under those conditions, small mechanical problems or misalignments can allow unusual coins to slip past quality control. Before looking at the rare errors, it is important to understand the official specifications of the 1964 Jefferson nickel. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, the same alloy used for most nickels since the 19th century. Its official weight is exactly 5.0 grams. That number is extremely important for collectors searching for rare mint errors. A precise digital scale can instantly reveal whether a coin falls within that standard. Any significant deviation from the 5.0 gram weight may indicate a wrong planchet strike or another unusual minting anomaly. During production, metal strips of the copper-nickel alloy were fed into blanking machines that punched out circular discs called planchets. These planchets were then heated, cleaned, and run through upsetting mills that formed a raised rim around the edge. Finally, the blanks were struck between 2 engraved dies inside powerful presses, permanently stamping the designs onto the metal surface. Most coins produced this way were perfectly normal, but sometimes something went wrong. One of the most famous errors seen on 1964 Jefferson nickels is the double die variety. A double die occurs during the die creation process, when the design hub impresses the die more than once at slightly different angles. This results in visible doubling on the coin's lettering or design elements. On certain 1964 nickels, collectors have identified strong doubling on inscriptions like Liberty, the date, and sometimes parts of the Monticello building. True double die coins are rare because the error originates during die manufacturing, meaning only coins struck by that specific die will carry the doubling. In 2019, a high-grade 1964 Jefferson nickel with a dramatic double die obverse sold at auction for more than $72,560. The coin had been professionally graded in near-perfect mint state condition, and the doubling was clear and easily visible under magnification. Another fascinating category of mint error involves off-center strikes. These occur when the planchet is not positioned correctly between the dies when the coin is struck. Instead of a perfectly centered design, part of the coin remains blank while the rest shows the stamped image. Off-center errors are particularly dramatic when the misalignment reaches 40 to 60% and the date is still visible. These coins immediately stand out visually and are highly sought after by collectors. In 2021, a spectacular 1964 Jefferson nickel with a strong off-center strike and brilliant mint state surfaces sold in a private transaction for nearly $89,000. Its unusual appearance made it both rare and visually striking. Another highly valuable error type involves wrong planchet strikes. This happens when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or metal composition. Because every denomination has a specific weight and size, these errors can often be identified quickly using a scale and calipers. If a 1964 Jefferson nickel were accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a smaller coin, such as a dime, the weight would fall far below the standard 5.0 grams. Likewise, a thicker or heavier blank would produce a heavier coin. These unusual combinations are extremely rare because the mint carefully separates planchets by denomination. Yet occasionally a stray blank enters the wrong press.in 2022. An extraordinary 1964 Jefferson nickel struck on an incorrect planchet was authenticated by professional graders and later sold for approximately $158,960. Metallurgical analysis confirmed that the coin had been struck on a blank intended for another denomination. Because so few examples exist, collectors were willing to pay a six-figure price for the piece. Die cracks and die clashes also appear among valuable 1964 nickels. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them. This leaves faint impressions of the opposite design on the dies themselves. When the dies continue striking coins afterward, those ghost-like design traces appear on the coins. While many die clashes are subtle, strong examples with clearly visible design transfers can add significant collector value. When combined with other factors such as mint state preservation or unusual strike characteristics, these errors become especially desirable. Condition is another key factor that determines the value of any rare coin. Because 1964 nickels circulated heavily during the coin shortage era, most surviving examples show wear, scratches, and surface damage. A rare error coin that remains in pristine mint state condition can be worth dramatically more than a worn example. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on strike quality, luster, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal. Coins graded MS67 or higher are considered exceptional. When a rare mint error appears in that level of preservation, collectors often compete aggressively at auction. What makes the 1964 Jefferson nickel particularly exciting for collectors is that it is not an ancient rarity locked away in museums. Millions of these coins were released into circulation, and many still exist today in change jars, coin rolls, and inherited collections. That means the possibility of discovering a valuable error coin still exists. Collectors searching for these treasures often start with a careful visual inspection. They look for unusual doubling in the lettering, signs of off-center strikes, or design elements that appear distorted. A digital scale helps confirm whether the coin matches the official 5.0 gram weight. Any unusual deviation may indicate a wrong planchet or off-metal strike. Documented auction sales between $72,560 and $158,960 show that the market for rare Jefferson nickel errors is very real. These prices are not guesses. They are based on verified transactions involving authenticated coins examined by professional experts. A small 5-cent coin created during a period of intense mint production has become a symbol of how tiny manufacturing mistakes can transform ordinary currency into extraordinary collectibles. Hidden among billions of normal coins, a handful of rare 1964 Jefferson nickels quietly entered circulation, waiting to be discovered decades later. For anyone curious about their own pocket change, the lesson is simple. Examine the details, check the weight, and research confirmed sales. The next remarkable discovery could be sitting unnoticed in a jar of coins, holding both historical significance and an astonishing hidden value. In 1971, millions of 5-cent coins quietly entered circulation across the United States. To most Americans, the nickel was simply another piece of small change used for vending machines, payphones, bus fares, and everyday purchases. Yet among the billions of coins produced that year, a handful carried unusual minting mistakes that would later transform them into highly sought-after collectibles. Certain authenticated 1971 D. Jefferson nickel error coins have captured the attention of collectors and auction houses alike, with confirmed values ranging from $64,200 to as much as $147,750, depending on the rarity of the error and the condition of the coin. The coin itself belongs to the long-running Jefferson nickel series first introduced in 1938. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential figures in American history and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home, which gives the coin its familiar nickname among collectors, the Monticello nickel. This design, created by sculptor Felix Schlag, remained largely unchanged for decades and became one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. The 1971 D nickel was struck at the Denver facility of the United States Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark located to the right of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse. During the early 1970s, the Mint was producing massive quantities of coins to keep up with economic growth and the expanding use of coin-operated machines. Hundreds of millions of nickels rolled off the presses that year. Despite such enormous production numbers, the official specifications of the Jefferson nickel remained consistent. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, an alloy that gives the coin its durable silver-gray color. Its official weight is exactly 5.0 grams, and it measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. For collectors searching for rare mint errors, that weight of 5.0 grams is one of the most important details to remember. A small digital scale capable of measuring to at least 1/100th of a gram can reveal whether a coin matches the official standard. If a 1971 D nickel weighs significantly more or less than 5.0 grams, it may indicate that the coin was struck on an incorrect planchet or made from an unusual metal composition. Such off-metal strikes are among the most valuable mint errors ever discovered. To understand how these mistakes occur, it helps to visualize the minting process itself. Sheets of the copper-nickel alloy are fed into powerful blanking presses that punch out round discs known as planchets. These blanks are then heated and cleaned before passing through upsetting mills that form a raised rim around the edge. Finally, the planchets enter high-speed coin presses where two hardened steel dies strike them simultaneously, imprinting Jefferson's portrait on one side and the Monticello building on the other. With presses striking coins hundreds of times per minute, even a minor mechanical issue can produce unusual results. Although the Mint has strict quality control procedures, a small number of error coins inevitably escape detection and enter circulation. One of the most well-known errors associated with the 1971 D Jefferson nickel is the double die variety. A double die is created during the die-making process itself. When the hub presses the design into the die more than once at slightly different angles, the design elements become doubled. This doubling can appear on the date, the word Liberty, or even on parts of the Monticello building. Unlike machine doubling, which occurs during the strike and usually has little collector value, true hub doubling is rare because it originates from the die. Every coin struck by that particular die will carry the same distinctive doubling. In 2018, a high-grade 1971 D Jefferson nickel with strong double die characteristics sold at a major numismatic auction for over $64,200. Its crisp surfaces and clearly visible doubling made it a prized example among collectors. Another dramatic mint error involves off-center strikes. This occurs when the planchet is not positioned correctly inside the press when the dies strike the coin. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered image, part of the coin remains blank while the rest shows the design. Off-center errors can range from slight misalignments to dramatic shifts where nearly half the coin is missing the design. Collectors particularly value off-center coins that retain a visible date and mint mark. These pieces provide clear proof of the coin's identity while showcasing the striking error. In 2020, an impressive 1971 D Jefferson nickel with a dramatic off-center strike and brilliant uncirculated condition sold privately for nearly $82,000. The coin's unusual appearance made it both visually striking and historically fascinating. Wrong planchet errors represent another category that can produce extraordinary values. Each denomination of coin uses a planchet of specific size and weight. If a blank intended for a different coin accidentally enters the nickel production line, the resulting coin will have unusual characteristics. Because the Jefferson nickel should weigh 5.0 grams, any significant difference in weight immediately signals the possibility of an off-metal strike. Some rare examples have been discovered struck on blanks intended for other denominations or experimental compositions. These coins often have unusual colors, thickness, or weights. In 2022, A remarkable 1971 D. Jefferson nickel struck on an incorrect planchet was authenticated by professional graders and later sold for approximately $147,750. Metallurgical testing confirmed that the coin had been struck on a blank not intended for nickels, making it one of the most extraordinary modern mint errors in the series. Die cracks and die clashes can also appear on 1971 D nickels. A die clash happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them. This transfers faint design elements from one die onto the other. Subsequent coins struck with those dies may show ghost-like outlines of the opposite design in unusual places on the coin. While many die clashes are subtle, strong examples can add collector value, particularly when combined with other errors or when preserved in high grades. Condition plays a major role in determining how much an error coin is worth. Because nickels circulated heavily in the 1970s, most surviving examples show wear, scratches, or dull surfaces. A rare error coin that remains in mint state condition, meaning it has never circulated and still retains its original luster, can be dramatically more valuable. Professional grading services examine coins closely to determine their level of preservation. Coins graded MS67 or higher are considered exceptional, and when a rare error appears in such condition, collectors often compete aggressively at auction. What makes the 1971 D. Jefferson nickel particularly fascinating is that it is not an ancient rarity locked away in a museum. Millions of these coins were released into everyday circulation. Many still sit unnoticed in jars of spare change, old coin rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten drawers. Collectors searching for valuable examples often begin with careful observation. They look for signs of doubling in the lettering, unusual strike alignment, or design distortions. A digital scale can help confirm whether the coin matches the official 5.0 gram weight. Any significant difference could indicate a rare planchet error. Auction records showing sales between $64,200 and $147,750 demonstrate that these coins are more than just curiosities. They represent real market demand among collectors who appreciate the rarity and history behind minting mistakes. A small 5-cent coin produced during routine mint operations can sometimes tell an extraordinary story. Hidden among millions of ordinary nickels, a few rare 1971 D error coins slipped into circulation decades ago. Today, those tiny pieces of metal serve as reminders that even the smallest coin in a pocket can hold remarkable historical significance and astonishing hidden value. In 1987, millions of small 5-cent coins quietly flowed through the American economy. They passed through grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, and cash registers across the country. Most people never paused to look at them. Yet among the billions of ordinary nickels struck that year, a few unusual pieces emerged, coins that carried subtle manufacturing mistakes capable of transforming them into some of the most valuable modern Jefferson nickels ever discovered. Certain authenticated examples of the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel error coin have sold in the remarkable range of $53,450 to $134,340, proving that even a coin worth 5 cents can hide an extraordinary story. The coin in question is the Jefferson nickel, a denomination that first entered circulation in 1938. The obverse shows the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence and the third president of the nation. The reverse features Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home, a structure that has become instantly recognizable to generations of Americans through the design of this coin. By the late 1980s, the Jefferson nickel had already been part of everyday American life for nearly 50 years. The design created by Felix Schlag had remained largely unchanged, and the coin was struck in enormous quantities each year. In 1987, the Denver facility of the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels bearing the small D mint mark to the right of Jefferson's portrait. Although the design remained familiar, the coin itself has a precise technical identity. A standard 1987 D. Jefferson nickel weighs exactly 5.0 grams and is composed of an alloy made from 75% copper and 25% nickel. That composition gives the coin its pale silver appearance and durability in circulation. For collectors, the official weight of 5.0 grams is extremely important. Even a small deviation from this standard can indicate that something unusual happened during the minting process. Collectors often rely on a digital scale capable of measuring down to 1/100th of a gram. When a coin does not match its expected weight, it can signal a wrong planchet strike, an off-metal error, or another rare anomaly. Such deviations are often the first clue that a coin might be far more valuable than its face value suggests. To understand how these valuable errors appear, it helps to imagine the manufacturing process inside the mint. Large metal sheets made from the copper-nickel alloy are fed into powerful blanking machines that punch out circular discs called planchets. These planchets are then heated in furnaces, cleaned, and run through upsetting mills that form a raised rim around the edges. After preparation, the blanks move into massive coin presses. Each press contains 2 engraved dies, one with Jefferson's portrait and one with the image of Monticello. When the press strikes the planchet with tremendous pressure, the design is permanently imprinted onto the metal. The system is efficient and precise, but when production reaches the hundreds of millions of coins per year, small mechanical problems occasionally occur. Misaligned planchets, worn dies, or stray metal blanks can create unusual coins that escape quality control and enter circulation. One of the most fascinating and valuable varieties seen on the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel is the double die error. A double die occurs during the die manufacturing stage rather than during the strike itself. When the hub presses the design into the die more than once at slightly different angles, the resulting die contains double design elements. Every coin struck by that die will show the same doubling. On certain authenticated 1987 D nickels, collectors have observed noticeable doubling on the inscriptions around Jefferson's portrait, particularly the word Liberty and parts of the date. This type of doubling is very different from common machine doubling, which tends to look flat and shelf-like. True hub doubling appears rounded and clearly separated. In 2019, a remarkably well-preserved 1987 D double die nickel graded in high mint state condition was sold at auction for approximately $53,450. Collectors were willing to pay such a price because the coin displayed strong diagnostic features confirming the die error and because its condition was nearly flawless. Another dramatic error that appears occasionally on Jefferson nickels is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet is not positioned correctly between the dies when the coin is struck. Instead of the design appearing in the center, part of the coin remains blank while the rest shows the design. Off-center errors become especially valuable when the strike is dramatic, often between 40% and 60% off-center, while still leaving the full date visible. Such coins are visually striking and relatively rare. In 2021, an exceptional 1987 D nickel with a large off-center strike and bright uncirculated surfaces sold privately for nearly $84,000. Even more rare are wrong planchet errors. These occur when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. Because each denomination uses planchets of specific weight and diameter, these mistakes are often easy to detect. A Jefferson nickel should weigh 5.0 grams and measure about 21.2 millimeters in diameter. If a coin differs dramatically from these specifications, it may indicate a planchet mix-up. Such errors are extremely scarce because the mint carefully separates planchets by size and denomination. However, when one slips through the system, the result can be a spectacular rarity. In 2022, a verified 1987 D. Jefferson nickel struck on an incorrect planchet was authenticated by professional graders and later sold for approximately $134,340. The unusual weight and metal composition confirmed that the coin had been struck on a blank intended for another denomination. Other mint errors occasionally seen on 1987 D nickels include die clashes and die cracks. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them. This impact can transfer faint parts of each design onto the opposite die. Later coins struck with those dies may display ghost-like outlines of the opposite design. While many die clashes are subtle, strong examples with clearly visible impressions can add collector value, especially if the coin remains in mint state condition. Condition is one of the most important factors determining how much a rare error coin is worth. Most nickels circulate heavily and accumulate scratches, dents, and dull surfaces over time. A coin that has remained uncirculated, with bright luster and sharp details, is significantly more desirable to collectors. Professional grading services evaluate these characteristics carefully. They assign numerical grades based on strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. When a rare mint error is combined with a high grade such as MS67 or higher, its value can rise dramatically. What makes the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel particularly interesting is that it is not an ancient rarity. It is a modern coin that millions of people handled in everyday transactions. Many of these nickels still sit unnoticed in jars, coin rolls, and old collections. Collectors searching for valuable examples typically start by examining coins under magnification. They look for signs of doubling in the lettering, unusual strike alignment, or irregular edges. A digital scale is used to verify the 5.0 gram standard weight. Any unusual difference may signal a rare planchet error. Documented sales ranging from $53,450 to $134,340 show that the market for rare Jefferson nickel errors is very real. These values are based on verified auction results involving authenticated coins, not speculation. A small 5-cent coin produced during routine mint operations can become a remarkable collectible simply because of a tiny mistake in the manufacturing process. Hidden among millions of ordinary nickels, a few rare 1987 D pieces quietly entered circulation and waited decades to be recognized. Carefully checking dates, designs, and weights can sometimes reveal a surprising discovery. In the world of coin collecting, even the most common-looking nickel can hold an extraordinary story and possibly an unexpected fortune.